Is alcoholism, drug taking, all these types of addictions we're very familiar with, are they diseases? What does it mean if they are a disease? These questions are recirculating around with the current passing away of Matt Perry, who was an actor in Friends. Most of us grew up watching some aspect of that perhaps, and it's pretty sad news. But there's this vicious debate going on, as is what happens these days with every subject. It's contentious, and Matt has spoken out very plainly on certain interviews that he is suffering these things, and he's had a lot of shame about this. And of course, there's an opportunity here to look at this from a deeper perspective, from a level of identity, from a level of awakening, from a level of understanding ego and its relationship with these types of things. Because there's an opportunity for empowerment. And essentially what Matt was told by, I believe, a therapist he mentioned, that was very supportive to him, as though he felt when he was trying to work through these addictions, was, it's not your fault. This was the comment made. It's not your fault. And he was very touched by this. You may see the clip going around, but he was like, repeat that, like say that again. I want to hear that again. It's not your fault. And what that was doing was giving him such relief. Because when you live against yourself with addictions, everybody can relate to doing this. Could be just distractions, things that aren't truly aligned, that we know deep down, I'm not fulfilling our full potential. There's shame, there's guilt, and behind that is this identity, this egoic identity of being the perpetrator. The perpetrator means I'm the one destroying my body, I'm the one destroying my life, I'm, creating mental instability, I'm affecting all the people around me. On every level, I'm kind of like the perpetrator causing destruction in my life and others. And nobody wants to be the perpetrator. Nobody, because there's no leeway or sympathy, if you like, validation for the perpetrator. For example, if someone's sexually abused, mostly the attention, the love, the care, and the concern goes to the person who is abused by that. The perpetrator is not generally the one who's looked after in the same way. That will change as we become more awakened and more self-intelligent as humanity grows. But at this point, the perpetrator is the bad guy, right? The bad guy on the films that we've watched, and the whatever else is the victim. And so he's feeling like he's the perpetrator in his life. And this therapist has said, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Oh, thank God, right? I'm not the perpetrator. And so now you get the pendulum swing from the perpetrator to the victim. And this is where the word disease comes into the equation. So it's like, okay, well, if I'm not the perpetrator, if that's not who I am, then what's happening? What's going on? It's like, well, I'll let you know. Because I'm a practitioner, I'm a therapist, I'm a specialist, whatever you want to say. This is a disease. It's not your fault. This is happening to you. Now, this is where a lot of people in the comments of these particular reels and things that are going around throwing out things like, that's absolute bullshit, it's your choice, you're the one who puts the bottle in your mouth, yada, yada, yada. Not very empathetic or understanding, and probably not in total very helpful, right? But that's what some of us will feel like this. It's like, wait a sec. Is this disease a scapegoat for poor decision making? We all have to make very challenging decisions in our life. We all have to look after ourselves. Is disease being used as a way to, handball off responsibility? Now, taking a deeper look at it, what it does on a really just horrible level is it gives relief not to be the perpetrator, but now I'm the victim. So this is the new identity that's taken up. I'm the victim of a disease. So both sides are disempowered. Okay. And he then uses the words which are very common to the victim, which is, it's not fair. So in relation to, he's talking about the other cast members or friends. He's like, they didn't have to deal with this disease. Like, I'm the one who had to deal with it. It's not fair that I had to deal with it. Why we use the word not fair? Because there's a victim involved. So from one identity, perpetrator, to another identity, victim. And the counselor, psychologist, specialist, whatever, they become the rescuer. I have rescued my client from the burden of perpetration, which, what does that mean? That means the burden of being ashamed of oneself, the burden of guilt. I've rescued them from that by now making them a victim of a disease. Right, so did Matt have a choice? This is an interesting question, because on one hand, you only have the choice to the degree of awareness that you have about anything. So if someone's not aware of themselves, aware of the uncomfortable feelings they're going through, aware of the nature of things, of reality and so on, which is what we all would love our elders to pass down to us because they've experienced more things, that they can provide us with some sort of awareness. We don't really have a choice other than to react to what we're feeling and believing at that time. It takes a new level of awareness and a willingness to receive that awareness to make a different choice. So did he have a choice? That would depend on if he was aware and what he was aware of. If his awareness was at the state that I would perceive it may be, I would say no, he didn't have a choice in the relative sense of his own experience. But ultimately, of course he has the choice. So if he was given different advice, given different nurturance, different wisdom, pointed to different places within himself to see where his choices are, then the choice would become available. And then he would have to, at that point, be open and willing to take that different direction. And it's not easy because it's an identity issue. Who am I if I'm not this? We can all relate to that. Everybody experiences trauma in their life. Everybody experiences conditioning, belief systems, all these different things that amount up to behavior to generally try to survive. And to let all that go is scary. It requires support. And in this world, as we currently know it, even amongst those who we want to trust, like practitioners and so on, we're still learning a lot about human psychology and the human potential for choice and empowerment and all these things. So I feel like this particular discussion really honors everybody's place where, yes, there's a truth he has choice. Yes, there's a truth he doesn't have choice. And what is happening behind those choices is identity, victim identity, perpetration identity, rescue identity. These identities that everybody in life continually takes up and rotates around inside of. And I bring it up because the frequency of those identities is fear. It's the vibration of fear. No matter what happens, if you enter that cycle, you will experience shame, guilt, suppression, rigidness, narrowness, reactions. It's like a vicious cycle, essentially. And so I felt this particular subject, what is happening in the world right now, was a good opportunity just to bring light to what's happening in the background for more compassion, more understanding, and perhaps an opportunity for us all to wake up just that little bit more.